And I am live. Today is 30th of September 2025, Tuesday. Yes, today is Tuesday. And this is the 200th stream, and by convention, we have to do something which makes this stream a bit different. So why not do something useful? And therefore, we are going to delve into Tmux. What is Tmux? Tmux is a terminal multiplexer which we can use to multiplex the terminal. Yes, that is a fine definition. And I have been using Tmux for a while now, and but I haven't known how it works fully, like the intricacies, the internal things of Tmux. So let's get into it, how it works internally. And I think the stream might be lagging a bit. No, seems fine. Yeah, it is cool. Yeah, cool. I'm not, yeah, fine. And our reference is going to be Tao of Tmux. It is a book. Read the Tao of Tmux, and let's see how much we can get to. Okay, there is a lot of stuff in this thing. And cool, let's begin. I have my Tmux ready, which is running a bunch of sessions right now. I will close everything. Tmux kill server, and we will like see how things happen internally so that we can at times leverage these things and do quite fun things. Cool. Nearly. And yeah, okay, this is a like guy. He's called Tao of Tmux. That is nice. Nearly all my friends use Tmux. I remember going out at nights for drinks, and the three of us, nearly all my friends are three of us. The three of us would take a seat at a round table and take out our smartphones. This was back when phones still had physical QWERTY keyboards. That is very old. Despite our home computers being asleep or turned off, our usernames in the IRC channel were frequently visited, persisted in the chat room list. Frequently visited, persisted in the chat room list. IRC channel. An IRC channel is a virtual chat room on the Internet Relay Chat network, a protocol for real-time text-based communication that allows groups of people to gather and discuss specific topics in many conversations. To participate, you need an IRC client and a connection to an IRC server, after which you can use a command like /join channel name. Okay, so there must be RFC for this. IRC, RFC, RFC, which is request for comments, since this is a protocol. So latest RFC for IRC, the most current latest IRC for RFC is RFC 14 with RFC this from 2000. Okay, so this one is the latest one. The latest RFC on Internet Relay Chat protocol, and this one came out in April 2000. So this is 25 years old. Hello, how is everything going? And yes, this IRC thing came from, we were reading this paragraph and this thing, IRC channel. So an IRC channel is just a protocol called Internet Relay Chat protocol, and we can use this to have many-to-many user communications at the same time. And to access this, we need a IRC client, and we also need a IRC server. Like we can use a client to connect to a server, and other people using a client can also connect to a server. Today we are going to do Tmux, this thing. Tmux. This thing. Tmux is a program which we can use to do like terminal multiplexing. And what that means is right now I am in my base terminal and I can run commands like ls, cd, go somewhere, htop, stuff like that. But if I like, if I am writing code hello.cpp, if I write something and now I want to run this code, I have to first close Vim, then compile, then run, and then enter Vim again with the file name. And that is bad. That is not very efficient. So we have a thing called Tmux. We can run Tmux, and now I am inside Tmux. You see this? This is Tmux. This is why Tmux. And now if I, and this thing on the bottom, one ZSH, this is like tabs in a browser. We can have multiple tabs. In Tmux also, we can have multiple terminals, and I think the command create new window new Vim. Yeah, a new window is created and the name of the window is new Vim. And I can switch between them. Like right now, I am in this ZSH window. I can run ls or some command cd ls, and then I can go to this other window which is running new Vim. And here I can run htop and I can switchly jump between the two. And that is cool. Tmux. And this, I just need to like understand this more, how this thing internally works and what are the things, like what it essentially is. And one more thing, this is a protocol, IRC, Internet Relay Chat, and the RFC number is request for comments number 2813, and I have a program get RFC 282813 and get it into rfc.txt. And now if I open rfc.txt, it has the same text, internet relay chat, this is the same text file. And yes, so that is cool. This program get RFC just gets RFC number. You specify a RFC number and it gets the RFC, and you can put it out into a text file, or if you do not give in a text file, it will just print on the standard output here. So this is the bottom of the thing. Yeah, cool. And now terminal, back to terminal. So IRC. Despite our home computers being asleep or turned off, our usernames in the IRC channel, which we now know, Internet Relay Chat. Let me actually like note it down. Internet Relay Chat channel. We frequently visited persistent in the persisted in the chat room list. Our screens were lit by a kaleidoscope of colors on a black background. We SSH'd with ConnectBot into our cloud servers and reattached by running screen one. As it hit 2 a.m., our Turkish coffee arrived. The away status indicator trailing our online nicknames disappeared. And I rarely get anything what they are saying right now. So now you can compile code without closing new. Yes, that is what I normally do when I'm writing. Uh, Now Tmux attach TCP. I can open some file, some code, a balanced string.cpp. Now in this window, in this new window, we are writing code, and we can go to now the terminal window and we can compile and do anything we want. But I want to get a like thorough knowledge of what is happening internally, and that would be cool. And in this paragraph, I only understand a bit of what this IRC channel is, what is connect bot, what is away, what is lit colors in kaleidoscope with a black background. SSH, I like do get what SSH means, like on the surface. Okay, let's move on to something we can understand. It was funny noticing, even though we knew each other by our real username, by our real names, not usernames, we sometimes opted to call each other by our nicks. It is something about how personal relationships formed online persisted in real life. Okay, it seemed as if it were orchestrated, but each of us fell into the same ebb. That is a new word, same ebb and flow of living our lives. No one told us to do it, but bit by bit, we incrementally optimized our lifestyles personally and professionally to arrive at the destinations seeming eerily alike. Okay, they are just talking about their friends. Like many things in life, when we act on autopilot, we sometimes arrive at similar destinations. This is often unplanned, so they are still talking about their friends. So when I write an educational book about a computer application, I hope to write it for human beings, not to sell you on Tmux, convince you to like it or hate it, but to tell you what it is and how some people use it. I will leave the rest to you. That is amazing. We will understand what Tmux is by Mr. Tao of Tmux. Tao. I have helped thousands learn Tmux through my free courses under the name Tao of Tmux, which I kept as part of the documentation of the Tmux P session manager. And this is, yes, this is a project on GitHub, Tmux P session manager. It is completely written in Python. And who is the main developer? Tony, Lighthouse Keeper. Okay, and what does this thing do? Session manager for Tmux, which allows users to save and load Tmux sessions through simple configuration files. Okay, I do not know what session manager means. New to Tmux, the DAO of Tmux is available on LearnPub and Amazon Kindle. Okay, let's just first go through this thing. And now it's been expanded into a full-blown book with refined graphics, examples, and much more. You do not need a book to use or understand Tmux. If you want a technical manual, look at man page for Tmux, and I will in a moment show you something amazing about man pages. Man pages, however, are rarely sufficient to wrap your brain around abstract concepts. They are there for reference. Yes, that makes more sense. This learning book is the culmination of years of explaining Tmux to others online and in person. And they are saying we might use man pages, but man pages are for referencing, not for actual thing. That is like pretty cool. No one wants to know about Tmux shit. And man pages. I want to show you something about man pages. Either we can run man printf and enter the man pages, but we cannot use advanced like motions, Vim motions here. But what we can do is start new Vim and go here internally. Vim also has a man command. We can run it man and now printf, and we have full power of Vim motions here with this man page, and that is pretty cool. And now back to this. In this book, we will break down Tmux by its objects from servers down to panes. From servers down to panes. Yes, panes are the literal things that we see. Servers are the things that run in the background. It also includes a rehash of terminal facilities we use every day to keep us autodidacts. That is a nice word, autodidacts, people who learn on by themselves, self-taught. it also includes a rehash of terminal facilities we use every day to keep us autodidacts up to speed with what is what. I have included numerous examples of projects permissively in licensed source code and workflows designed for efficiency in the world of the terminal. That is pretty cool, and autodidacts is even cooler. Tmux is a tool I find useful. Yes, it is useful. While I don't attach it to my personal identity, it has been a part of my daily life for years. Besides the original resource, I have written a popular Tmux starter configuration, a Pythonic Tmux library, and a Tmux session manager. These are three things that are written by Tao of Tmux. That is nice. I'm writing this from Vim running in a Tmux pane inside a window in a session running on a Tmux server through a client. And that is a flex. That is a flex. A word to absolute beginners. Don't feel you need to grasp the concept of the command line and terminal multiplexing in a single sitting. You have the choice of picking out concepts of Tmux you like according to your needs or interests. If you haven't installed Tmux yet, please review the installation section of the appendix of this book. Tmux. And let's delete Tmux. Which Tmux? Tmux is in homebrew. We will just delete Tmux brew uninstall. Like, what was even the point of deleting Tmux? Brew install Tmux. Now it is installing from scratch. That is cool. And we can make progress here. Okay, styles formatted text like this is source code. Okay, and we don't have to. How's the book is structured? First, anything involving installation and hard technical details are in the appendix. Lot of books use installation instructions as filler in the early chapters. For me, it is more of not wanting to confuse beginners. Okay, for special circumstances like Tmux on Windows 10. Who would use Tmux on Windows? I guess people would use Tmux on Windows. I decided adding screenshots is best since many readers may be more comfortable with a visual approach. Okay, thinking in Tmux. Okay, and these are now the chapters which are going to be like thinking in Tmux, terminal fundamentals, terminal fundamentals. And let's go to the chapters. Donation. If you want to make donation, you can make donation. That is okay, cool. Formats, etc. This is my first book. I am a human and make mistakes. That is completely fine. And if you find errors in this book, surely I guess we won't find errors. Please submit them to me at this email address. No spam, please. You can also submit a pull request. We can submit a pull request. Shit. I will upgrade digital versions of the book with the changes where applicable. We can submit a pull request on this one. That is pretty cool. There are 1110 commits on this. That is a lot. And this was written in 2016, 9 years ago. Okay, let's see. And thinking in Tmux. Yes, and this is the main underlying thing. We have a server which runs sessions, and sessions have windows, and windows have panes in which we run terminal commands. That is the basic hierarchy in green, of course. So we have servers and sessions and windows, and then at last we have panes, like not PAIN pane, PANE pane. And what this is servers have sessions, sessions have windows, and then windows have panes internally. That is a nice hierarchy. And what does this even mean? Sessions, if I go to my Tmux session, I don't know, is Tmux running? No, Tmux is not running. Tmux skill server, Tmux set, Tmux, wait. These are the sessions which are running right now for me. I have multiple sessions running. A session called CP, competitive programming, one for giving contests, one for C++, one for DSA, one for CSCS, one for GDB, which I don't even use, like GNU debugger, and a random session I just created. So these are sessions, and within each sessions right now, I am in the CP session, which is competitive programming. Let's go to the next one, contests session. In this session, there are two windows, NeoVim and Terminal. And this is similar to having multiple tabs in a browser window, right? In this window, I have multiple tabs. In Tmux session, inside the contest session, I have multiple windows. And this thing, this star asterisk indicates that I am currently in the NeoVim session, NeoVim window, and I can go to the terminal using a keyboard shortcut, which you can customize. So I can just switch between these windows very easily. And you cannot see the switch because there is nothing in the windows. So in the terminal window, right now we are in the terminal window, I did this ls command, and in the new window, let's start at stop, and we can easily switch between them very quickly. And we can also have panes. I think this is the command, new pane. Okay, this is not the command, but there is a command to create new panes. I think, yeah, attaching back, bottom, right, bottom. Yeah, these things, these divisions, they are called panes. I have a thing running here, and then I can go up and do ls. I can go there, I can go here and do htop. I can go there and do ls or something, anything. And here I can run new vim. So this is Tmux. We have sessions like this. These are multiple sessions. And the session which has been currently attached has this word attached before it. So we go to it. And here we have multiple windows, NeoVim window and terminal window. And within a window, we have multiple panes. This left one is a pane. This one top right is a pane. This is a pane. This is a pane. And this is a pane. PAIN. And servers is like the bigger level Tmux program which is running in the background and which is managing all of these sessions running. I can detach from Tmux, and if I do Tmux kill server, the server stops. And now if I try to do Tmux attach target CP or contest, no sessions because I just killed the server. The server is dead now. Yeah, Tmuxing. Yeah. I've been using Tmux for a while now. All of my competitive programming things have been on Tmux, but I want to know like underneath the hood, what is happening? What is this? What like, yeah, what is this? And I have a not Tmux, Tmux.sh, a little script, and this is shebang, which we can use to like start sessions. Wait, I did make a change there. Yeah, and I need to know like internally what is happening, and we have tau of Tmux to help us out. And thanks. Thinking in Tmux. In the world of modern computing, user interaction has two realms, the text realm and the graphical realm. If you use VS Code, you are a bad human being, and if you use NeoVim, you are in the text realm and you are a good person. No, no. How do I ban people from the chat? No, this is not it. Under, underneath is amazing. If you know how things happen under the surface, you have power. You can flex. You have power. And not just that, like if something breaks, you know how to fix it, and you can have a idea of what is actually happening underneath the hood. So that is cool. You can debug and do amazing things. Tmux lives in the text realm, in which fixed width fonts appear in a rectangular grid in a window, like in a terminal from 1980s. There were terminal in 1980s. Yes, there were. Yes, there were. When was C language created? Should I closed Excalator? C was, I think, created in 1971. Shit, that is very old. When was 1971, 72? 72. Dennis Ritchie. That is like very old. Very old. 1971. As if Arch plus I3WM wasn't enough to flex my power. Shit, you use Arch, that is amazing. And I3WM, what is I3W? Processor? WM words per minute. Ah, yes. Window manager for the terminal. Tmux is to the console what is desktop to GUI apps. Okay, that is a very good definition. It is a it is a world inside the text dimension. Inside Tmux, you can multitask inside the terminal, run multiple applications, have multiple command lines, panes in the same window. Have multiple windows. Window in the workspace. A workspace is a session and switch between multiple workspaces like virtual desktops. So that is pretty cool. That is a really nice definition. Tmux is to the console what a desktop is to GUI apps. That is cool. Window manager. I don't need mouse. You don't need mouse. Oh, IWM is a window manager. So why are you here? And DWM are the window managers. Dummy. Okay. I3 window manager. Arch. This is for Arch. Shit. So is this in the same category as Hyperland? Yes. Hyperland and other things? Bye. Okay. Bye. Programming language. This was written in C. Okay. Okay. Now back to this. Tmux. Tmux is to the console what is a desktop to GUI apps, and that is a very good definition. Multiplexer, multitasking, multiple applications simultaneously makes sense sessions. Session is a desktop. Applications are visible here. Window, virtual desktop or applications. Desktop containing its own screen. Yes. And pane runs a single application, performs operations. Yes. Just like in a graphical desktop environment, they throw in a clock too. Yes, Tmux has a clock. It is Tmux running. Yes, clock. Tmux has a clock. This is for hello, Mr. Macro. slash define, hash define. No, this is for any distro, and it is the same as Hyperland. That is cool. They both are tiling window managers. Okay, yes, he is cool, and he also uses if you are still here, and if you are also still here, can you tell which keyboard you use? Just flex on this guy for a bit. That would be pretty nice. Flex on him. Multitasking. Tmux allows you to keep multiple terminals running on the same screen. Yep. After all, the abbreviation Tmux comes from terminal multiplexer. Yep. In addition to multiple terminals on one screen, Tmux allows you to link multiple windows within the confines of the Tmux sessions you attached. Session lost. In addition to multiple terminals on a screen, panes, Tmux allows you to create and link multiple within windows within the confines of Tmux session you attached. Yes, makes sense. In a session, we have multiple windows. Even better, you can copy and paste and scroll. No requirements for graphics either. So you have full power even if you are SSHing or on a system without a display server such as X x.org server is a free and open source implementation of the X Windows operating system display server stewarded by X.org Foundation. That's cool. Kinesis Advantage 360 Pro Gray color full wireless. I want to ask something. What is the best way to learn something? For example, Node.js, is it like watching videos first or what? Just do everything that you can? For Node.js, if I were to like go and then on top of that, my mouse costs 90 rupees because I don't need it. Use it as much. Shit, you don't need your mouse because you are on Arch. And for learning Node.js or anything, like right now, I'm learning Tmux. I first saw the very basics so that I would be able to at least use Tmux. And now I have been using it for a while. Now I am deep diving into Tmux. You can see, do this something similar. My bad. You can do something similar with Node.js. And wait, you are learning Node.js, but maybe Dino or something, or Node.js is also fine. You can go to Node.js website, get Node.js docs, read, well, not read, these are usage and applications buffers. Okay, this is more like a reference and not documentation. You can watch some videos on Tmux on Node.js and also at the same time do things on Node.js. Yeah, so just keep doing things and keep reading whenever you do not understand something and have some goal in mind. Try to do that, achieve that goal, and side by side, actually do the thing and read up on whatever you do not understand. I'm on a window manager and you don't need to use mouse in there. Yes, you can use like keyboard shortcuts. Should I also have a window manager, Raycast? But it is like not very cool. I forgot the key. Yeah, I think I had some keyboard shortcuts in there, but no, it is not working. Yeah, this is bad. This is bad. This does not work, and this is not very smooth like we have in Tmux. Right now, I am in here, and the transition is very fast, but it is not fast in Mac. And also, when you are using Hyperland, it is very smooth when your screen becomes half and you open another application. Like everything is pretty cool on Arch. And I like unfortunately cannot run Arch on this processor. My bad. Here are a few common scenarios. Running tail this command in a pane to get a live stream. Okay, why you would need multiple panes? Running a file watcher, okay, like watchman, gulp watch, grunt watch, guard, or enter on file change. You could do stuff like rebuild less or SaaS software as a service. I think is SaaS files. Oh, shit, SaaS files. Syntactically awesome style sheets. Shit. Syntactically awesome style sheets. Okay. Ninja. Make or Ninja. Reload your Express server. They have Express has been there for a while then. Run any other custom command of your liking, and you would have something like this. So they are just and giving an example why we would need multiple panes on a single window, and this does look cool. Tmux, and this is running on Mac. Look at this. This is running on a Mac, so this is not Arch. Windows laptop and run Linux. Yes, but I would have to buy a Windows laptop, right? And that costs money. So when I have a job, I will definitely do that and get a good laptop and run Linux and just get a win. It is like what Terry David says. Shit, this is very funny. Why do you open uh why do you open Explorer? Shit, I do not want to run this. You can watch this like by yourself. This is very funny. Sprint, what is sprint? I would need money. What is sprint? Is that a command? Sprint. Shit, shit. The brain just uh, assumed these two are different things. Sprint, sprint. Yes, I can run fast. Steal it. Share. Okay, okay, okay. That makes more sense. That makes more sense. And you are still here. That is fine. And watch this video. This is also pretty cool. So yeah, buy a Windows laptop so that you can remove window and run Arch. Shit, bro knows. Yes. And GCC, shit. My language, my compiler is fast. Uh, Compiler is shit. Windows is just garbage bootloader for Linux. That makes sense. That is a very good definition of Windows. My compiler compiles just in time and ahead of time. That is something Terry Davis said. And he is an amazing guy, was an amazing guy, it still is an amazing guy. With Tmux, you quickly have makings of an IDE and on your terms. Yes. LLDB. Shit, this guy is actually using Mac. LLDB. Ninja for with CMake for a C project. This is LLDB. Yes, this is LLDB. And this is something. Okay, keep your applications running in the background. Sometimes GUI applications have an option to be sidelined to the system tray to run in the background. The application is out of sight, but events and notifications can still come in and the app can be instantly brought to the foreground, which is this. Shit, OBS is recording. In Tmux, a similar concept exists where we can detach a Tmux session. Detaching can be especially useful on local machines, remote SSH sessions, servers I rarely log into. Okay, I do not want to know why would I want to use Tmux. I know why I want Tmux, but what is Tmux? Fundamentals. That is nice. Mhm. Then that I feel it is a pain. Wait, web dev guy use Tmux. Other than that, it feels a pain. No, it is very smooth. It is like pretty cool. And if you want a CPP keybind to run a code, I can give it to you. Okay. What do you mean by CPP keybind? A keybind to run code. I can just compile and run my code. And yes, give it to me. See what it is. Terminal fundamentals. Before getting into Tmux, a few fundamentals of the command line should be reviewed often. We are so used to using these out of street smarts, and muscle memory. A great deal of us never see the relation of where these tools stand next to each other. That makes sense. ZSH, Z shell, bash, item to console. It iTerm is a terminal multiplexer. TTO. Okay, these are like literally different things. Okay, I thought he is grouping them in the same category, but they are not in the same category. That makes sense. Wait, okay. Hello. Shit, hello. How are you? You are watching me live? Hello. So, yeah, ZSH and bash, these are shells which we can run, and iTerm and console are terminal emulators, and TTY is slash dead dev. Yes, we do have TTY here, which is empty. It is not a file. Yeah. Yes. So TTY is also something, and shell scripting and so on. If you use Tmux, you will be around these all the time, regardless whether you are in GUI on a local machine or SSHing into a remote server. It would be very cool to SSH in a remote server. Just boot up some server, remotely connect to it, use Tmux, and use Git to download or pull your own configuration for your new Vim session, and also your Tmux script to establish your sessions. That would be cool. Yes, sir. You're doing great. You say yes. Everything is great, going great till now, and it will keep on going great. If you want to learn more about how processes and TTYs work at the kernel level, data structures and all, the book Design and Implementation of Free BSD Operating System Second Edition by Mark Kirk. Shit. Marshall Kirk. Okay, Kirk is a name we know is nice, particularly chapter 4 process management and section 8.6 terminal handling, TTY demystified by Linus, Mr. Linus himself, available online device into TTYs. The real good read. Okay, these references are actually pretty cool. Shit, I will have to do a stream on this too. Sig int, signed integer, signed sig up, h high up, sig quit, sig pipe. Understanding what TTY is and how it works is pretty cool, is very cool. Swedish guy, Linus Akesson. Okay, and much more exists to glean off the history of Unix. 4.2 BSD. BSD is Berkeley System. Berkeley Software Distribution. Okay. BSD, OpenBSD, Berkeley Software Distribution Operating System. And I probably could have a coffee tea, dis tea with you, discussing it for hours. You could look at it from multiple perspectives, the C language, and all of this seems like very cool and at home. You could look at it from multiple perspectives, the C language, anything from Unix, BSD, lineage, etc. And some clever fellow would likely chime in, mentioning Linux, GNU, and so on. It is like Game of Thrones. There is multiple story arcs you can follow, some of which intersect. A few good video resources would be A Narrative History of BSD by Marshall Kirk himself. Marshall Kirk himself. And the Unix operating system by AT&T. I think I have might have watched this video, Unix operating system and early days of Unix and design of SSH. And I can guarantee, almost guarantee, that in this video, the Unix operating system, three people are of course going to be in there: Dennis Ritchie, Ken Thompson, and Brian Kernighan. Three people should be there. If they are not in this video, then this video is bad. And shit, I forgot his name. Wait, is this Ken Thompson? If this is Brian Kernighan, we have him, and that was Dennis Ritchie there for a second. This is Dennis Ritchie, and we might even have Ken Thompson. Yes, that was Ken Thompson. This is Ken Thompson. So yeah,
Just
these are
move
the guys
across one
who
node.
actually made everything we use today. And the POSIX standards, which came after Unix. Operating systems like macOS, formerly OS X, Linux, and BSD follow something similar to POSIX specification in terms of how they square away various responsibilities and interfaces for the operating system so that different applications can run on different operating systems, so that different operating systems are compatible with each other and applications can be shared among each other in a way. They are categorized as mostly POSIX compliant, and Windows is not in this category. In daily life, we often break compatibility with POSIX standards for reasons of sheer practicality. In daily life, we often break compatibility with POSIX standards for reasons of sheer practicality. Okay, so they are not very practical. Operating systems like macOS will drop you right into bash. Make one. Shit. What is make one? Can we do these in Windows? If yes, how? What do you mean do these? Way to send you the CPP bind. You can send on the Discord. I will look at it after the stream. I will not open Discord in the stream. I will look at the CPP bind. And what do you mean by can we do these in Windows? Tmux and yes, you can. You can. I don't know how to, but of course you will be able to do it somehow. And wait. Yes, you will be able to do it somehow. Like there must be some way using PowerShell or some program. You must be able to install NeoVim and Tmux and run them and have fun. WSL. Yes. Yes, you can also run WSL and just run Linux. Operating systems like macOS will drop you right into bash. Yes, but I'm using ZSH. A POSIX standard is GNU Make on macOS by default. Did you know as of POSIX Make has no conditionals? Okay, this paragraph is not making a lot of sense to me. Operating systems like macOS will drop. Okay, this line means we there is a standard called POSIX standard. And what does it actually specify? And what is it trying to make compatible? Okay, because POSIX is one of those words we will throw away without unpacking it. Okay, POSIX actually specify POSIX. Okay, let's not look at the definition. Portable operating system. I don't know what IX interface. Okay, portable operating system interface. Why is there a X? I guess because of Unix. IEEE International Engineering Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. IEEE. Okay, is a standard API specification for operating systems, particularly Unix-like systems. It doesn't define how an operating system is implemented under the hood. It only specifies the API. It defines what the system must look like to an application program, like defining what syscalls should be. Yes, system calls and C library functions. System calls. So POSIX defines system calls, command line utilities that a application can expect to find. Okay, awk is also there. That is nice. And scripting language that the application can expect to find. That is a really good keyword. You can check it out. Okay, I will check it out of the stream. I will not open Discord right now. Okay, so that is cool. System calls, command line utilities, shell scripting language, file system structure. Yes, this thing, threads and synchronization, mutexes, condition variables, other subsystems. Okay, so what is it trying to make compatible? It is trying to make things portable. Back in 1980s, there were many flavors of Unix. BSD, System 5, RISC-V is like hardware thing. SunOS, HPUX, AIX, XenX, all Unix-like, but with subtly different system calls, utilities, and shell behaviors. Programs written for one wouldn't necessarily compile or run on another. The goal of POSIX was to give application developers a stable API target, so code written for one POSIX system would compile and run on another with minimal changes. Wait, but that is done by the compiler, right? All of this system call things is translated by the compiler and nothing is specified in the source code itself, but these tools are specified in the source code and also the file structure. Okay, let's use that theory, but the portability is not affected by the syscalls because they are handled by the um, compiler for the specific OS that running that it is running on the compiler. Yeah, system calls are like translated for the operating system by the compiler itself, but what actually is useful and needs to be specified in the source code itself are things like the directory structure and command line utilities and other things. And also mutex should be ChatGPT knows my name. The compiler will handle syscall's idea is pretty right. Is partly right, but not the devil in the detail. But the devil is in the details. Syscalls further says compiler. The compiler itself doesn't magically translate fork into the right kernel instruction. What happens is your source code calls fork. Fork is to boot up a new process similar to the current one that calls the fork instruction. That symbol is defined in the system's C standard library implementation libgc glibc on Linux. That library then issues the actual machine level syscall. Okay, via an instruction like svc supervisor call, svc supervisor call on ARM or syscall, literally syscall on x86, which I do not have, unfortunately. I have ARM. Okay, so the compiler, that does make sense. Should that does make sense? That does make sense. The compiler itself doesn't magically translate fork into the right kernel instruction. What happens because, okay, so first of all, our program is written and we have our source code. Then it is translated into assembly, which is then translated into object files, which is then like linked, and these different object files are linked with each other using the linker, and we have our complete binary, but this is the main thing, and that is too big. That is fine. Okay, so this thing does not even know that there are things like syscalls. It only knows there are functions, library functions, which this source code calls. And then we have assembly, which literally does have syscalls, and then syscalls like printf. Printf is not a syscall. Printf is a function which internally calls the syscalls. And then we have object files which have binary instructions literally in the instructions which do make the syscall. Okay, okay. Source code, assembly. Source code does not know syscalls. Assembly does know syscalls, and object files are literally the instructions. And the syscalls, the code, the instructions for running, for knowing which syscall is supposed to be called for a specific function which is called in the source code. That thing is known by libgc, the standard libraries, or lib system on macOS. Okay, that library then issues the actual machine level syscall. It is the library that issues. So that is even better because the compiler just gets the binary or maybe even the source code for these libraries. I think these libraries are stored as binaries. standard stored as binary files. The standard libraries are primarily stored as binary files, specifically as compiled machine code. So yeah, they are stored as binary files. That does make sense. So the compiler does not do anything. It is the linker which links those binary standard files with our source code. So the compiler does not know anything about the syscalls. So the compiler is even more compatible with different operating systems, and that makes sense. Okay, yeah. POSIX. POSIX standard, yes, operating systems like macOS will drop you right into Bash. A POSIX standard, this one, make one, is GNU make on macOS by default. Did you know as of September 2016, POSIX make has no conditionals. POSIX make has no conditionals. That must mean something. Okay. My name is just Walrus. I think you just have to type @walrus 137. I'm not saying this to make a run at purists as someone who tries to remain compatible in my scripting. It gets hard to do simple things. After a while on free BSD, the default pmake uses dots between conditions. This is the syntax for make. Okay, what I am understanding from this is that in for compiling big C projects, we have make programs which take in a make file and also the whole directory of your project, and then the make file lists which things are to be compiled in which order and also with which libraries should be included for compiling them, and according to the everything that is defined in the make file. The make command literally makes, that is compiles a binary which we can run for our project, and this command is specified by a POSIX standard. And OpenBSD, FreeBSD, has its own implementation of the make command, which is called pmake, and to define conditionals we have to use dots in that. That is my understanding of this. I think that is correct. But on most Unix systems and Mac OS, GNU make is the default, so they get to do if and end if. Okay, this is one of the many tiny inconsistencies that span operating systems. Their user lands, their binary library include paths and adherence interpretation of the file system hierarchy standard, what or whether they follow their own. Find your path. Okay, so even though these things are POSIX compatible, they break the standards to make things more practical. Okay, they break the compatibility with POSIX to make things more practical, and they are just different subtleties, nuances with different things, and it is up to us to make our own choice. I did send it. Okay, I will look at it after the stream, not right now. And also, have you heard? I mean, of course, you have heard LFS. What do you think about LFS? 'Cause this is crazy. This is literally crazy. Ah, shit. Sorry for that. Wait. Now it is okay. LFS is literally crazy. Uh, it is going shit. This is crazy. This is like literally one of the, if someone goes through this thing and does follow everything, then they are not human any longer. No, at some point we would have to do this. When I have much better gear, we will have to do this. Like we would just sit for days waiting for the program to compile. We would have to do this at some point. Maybe in 2 to 3 years, at some point we will have to do this. Maybe even in Chinese. I don't know Chinese, but I do know a little bit of Deutsch. Yeah, we will have to do this. We will have to do this at some point. Who? Christitis? Who are you going to name? I'm gonna name your Linux dev. Yep. Japanese. We can even read this in Japanese by Michio Kaku, Michio Matsuyama. This is amazing. LFS. Linux from scratch. Shit. Down of Tmux. T2 SDE. He is working on his system for past 10 years and still unable to do it. Okay. T/2 SDE, software developing engineer. It is a product. T2 package manager. And have you heard of the framework computers? Those are pretty cool computers, framework computers. Okay, what is this? T2 package manager and Linux distribution. Ultra portable, low code Linux system. So this is just a distro. Clean reference. So I suppose, of course, shit, bro knows everything. I was just thinking maybe if I say, okay, LFS. Yeah, I suppose that you would know LFS, but I thought maybe you don't know about framework laptops, but you do know about framework laptops. And shit, I'm just trying to think of something that I know and you do not know about, just to flex a little bit, and I will think of something. And of course, you can just drop things which you know about. I think about Linux 24/7. You live Arch and you have a split keyboard. Those are the credentials you need. Shit. And how is it that you live in UP? That is just crazy. Powerful combos. Right. Summary, terminal, multiplexing from here. Find your path. Okay, let me show you something. A book. I don't just have a chair. I got it this year, so that was nice. 600 plastic chair, like Virgil's chair. Virgil's chair. This might be something that you do not know about. Virgil's chair. Virgil's white plastic chair. Do you know about it? And this might be something that is a bit niche. Wait. Uh, yes. Okay. At least something. It is a game thing. Virgil's chair. This. So this guy. Okay, I cannot hear. My bad. This. So he's going to kill the final villain, and the final villain is sitting on the white plastic
Hey,
chair.
Virgil! Your portal opening days are over. Give me the Amato.
If you want it, then you'll have to take it.
This is the chair. And also the chair dragging sound.
Then you'll have to take it.
That is funny. Virgil chair. And now this. Most operating systems inspired by Unix, BSD, Berkeley Software Distribution, macOS, Linux will allow you to get the information of your systems or your system's file system hierarchy via hi. Okay. Layout of file systems, a higher as in hierarchy. Or we can do TLDR, and I think you must know about this command. Segment fault. There is something wrong with TLDR. There is something wrong with TLDR. And also we can run man pages in Vim like this, which is pretty nice. Look at this, that is nice. Historical sketch of file system hierarchy. Okay, this tells what things are. In the etc folder, we have system configuration files and scripts. Okay. Only want you to use the keybind and be amazed with how nice it is. Okay, let me actually open Discord. I will turn off the screen, and now you are only seeing my face. Let me just quickly get the script, the keybind. Keybind. Yep, there is a message in programming stuffs and typical fat guy. Check this. Okay, let me check this. And now face is good. My bad. No, you're too kind. Face is good. Not gonna lie. Shit. Yes, this thing. C++ quick compile and run binary in temp vertical windows vim.keybind set. Okay, leader CPR function. Vim command. We are running this command. What does this do? Split the screen, vertical split, and pipeline. Then run this command on Vim terminal bash. Yes, this just says that you are using NeoVim and not Vim, because in Vim I think we don't write terminal, we write shell instead of terminal. So you are using Vim bash. Run this bash command C. This is the literal command. G++ current file and semicolon P. Okay, I don't know what semicolon P is, but this is current file, percentage for current file. P, semicolon P, and output into temp vim cout. Okay, this is the temp folder that you were talking about yesterday. And this, and then run the file. Compile and run C++ vertical split. Okay, that is nice. What is this? Semicolon P is colon P dot sh. Wait, this is to get the name of the current file, percent, and then colon P. What does it do? Not semicolon, colon. And I was unaware that we could use this format. I think this is just for defining a string. I think this thing for. Or maybe what is in Lua. Long. Shit, my phone is actually going to die somehow. It is just not charging. Shit. This is supposed to be working, but it is not somehow. P is a file name modifier. So what does it do? I will look it up. Wait. Yeah, the camera is not working. It is working. It is not working. Okay, shit. Okay, we will just stream without the camera if we have to. When used after a file name expansion, resolves the path to an absolute path. Okay, and okay, so it is a new thing. Okay, okay. So this is a okay. This is a Vim thing, and if I were to literally copy paste this command in Vim, copy and yeah, copy. Copy. Yes. Script dot txt hello dot cpp script dot txt. Okay, I will not copy this. I will write it on my own. Hello dot cpp, and let's write something. Hello there. And now if we do v split bash g++ percent p, and then command, then o slash tmp slash file my c file and slash, should I also have to give quotes, single quotes? And yes, do you know some like fast way to move my cursor around in the command line like that? Explains for Tmux. For Tmux. Okay, this is a new thing. And do you know some way to move the cursor around quickly? Okay, what is it? Yes, I want to know what is it. And explains. Okay, I'll check it out. For Tmux, is it a Tmux plugin? Bone circuit. This is Ghostty. And his ZSH Z shell with Ghostty. Okay, so moving around in the command line depends on the terminal. I thought it would be a new Vim thing. And slash tmp slash my c5. Something messed up. Not editor command. Should I have to write terminal? My bad, my bad, my bad. V split. Yes. This is very slow. Literally very slow. My productivity is gone. Terminal. Process exited. Bash g++. Oh, something wrong happened. We split terminal C, G, plus temp and temp C dot out. And That should have worked. hello.cpp, and let's write this out. Okay, now, okay, so your command is working, but my command is not working, so something is wrong with my command. Every terminal has a different way of writing config. Yes, that is true. Uh, Student, what do you do? Study. Bro is student and bro is running Arch Linux. I wait, is my no, camera is not working. Let me just hide it then. Yes, that is much better. And I guess you have to write command in inverted command. This is literally the same thing that I wrote. Okay, this is his. Okay, shit. This tag C is the thing that is not there. What is C? C as in command. Okay, okay, that makes sense. We split. First of all, let me close these. And why is this not included? That is crazy. We split this and then terminal bash c g plus plus file name, current file name, p to expand the file name into absolute path, output this to slash tmp slash my c file, and then run slash temp slash my c file. That should work, except there is an error. Bits dot standard C is unknown, fatal, not found, not found. Okay, let's use. We split and terminal bash command g plus plus current file, expand the path, output to slash tmp slash my c file or anything, and then run slash tmp slash my c file, and this should work, and it does work. That is pretty cool. Open terminal, go to slash bro, just looked it up, that is very fast. Go to .config terminal for the configuration, and then you look into the documentation how to increase the cursor speed. Oh, not so I thought like there would be something similar to this thing, these commands w and b which we have in vim, w, b or e commands that we have in vim. Bros from Varanasi, that is Kashi, that is what are the other names for Varanasi? Kashi, Varanasi, Prague, Graj is not a name for Varanasi. Oh shit, yeah, you are right, I missed that. Yep, that is fine. Then look at into the documentation how to increase cursor speed. Cursor speed and Ghostty. Find the relevant setting. How do I find the relevant setting? Docs. Linux, shit, configuration, options, speed. Yeah, they do not provide a speed option yet. Michelle Hashimoto is not like this is still in working, and also because there are a few things which are not present in Ghostty. If I make this thing full screen, yeah, the background is gone. Ghostty does not provide a way to set a background. So yeah, you don't need to press enter, just enter into edit mode and press enter. Colon Q is not needed. Colon Q is not needed. Wait, you just need to press enter. Just enter into edit mode and press. Wait, what do you mean? I'm in insert mode and press enter. In reference to what? Colon Q to quit. Is there some other way to quit? And yes, yes, this is one thing that I do not understand. This is saying there are updates, and now if I were to do updates, now everything is updated, so that is pretty nice. If I exit and restart, updates are still there. Is it sync? Do I have to sync everything? Shit, I had to sync everything. That is what the thing was. No compile. Bro, on Code Forces. That is the pain of his life or her life. We cannot judge. Compile for compile. Okay, shit. Okay. Now I get it. The command we split this. It is running. Insert enter and enter. Ah, that makes sense. That does make sense. Enter mode. Enter. Gone. Cool. Okay, that does make sense. That does make sense. And now back to Tmux, the main thing for today. Tmux Octave. Have just we just got here. Man hire, find your path. Most operating systems have their hierarchy in this thing. These differences add up. A good deal of software infrastructure out there exists solely to abstract the differences across them. For example, CMake, AutoTools, SFML, SDL2, interpreted programming languages, Python, JavaScript, and their standard libraries are dedicated to normalizing the banal banal differences across BSD derivatives and Linux distributions. Okay, okay. Many if def preprocessor directives in your C and C++ applications. Okay, you want open source, you get choice, but be aware there is a lot to keep up, a lot of upkeeping cost in keeping these upstream projects and even your personal ones compatible. But I disagree. Back to terminal stuff. Okay, let's get back to terminal stuff. And this thing just means there is just a lot of differences, even if operating systems are following the POSIX standard, they still have a lot of differences and they add up. Why does it matter? Why bring it up? Yes, good question. You will see this stuff everywhere. So let's separate the usual suspects into their respective categories. Terminal interface. What is a terminal interface? The terminal interface can be best introduced by citing official specification, laying out its technical properties, interfaces, and responsibilities. This can be viewed in the POSIX specification. This includes TTYs, including text terminals and Z sessions within them. On Linux BSD operating systems, you can switch between sessions via this key terminal interface. Terminal interface TTYs. Let's look it up. TTYs and terminal interfaces. You shall know in pain. Almost 70% things have been cooked. Shit. I don't even know the version of Linux of Vim I'm using. I was awake for 11 hours yesterday, busy fixing my bloated piece of shit with your Kinesis Advantage 360 keyboard, totally fully wireless brown switches. Like from 5 p.m. to 4 a.m. I was on computer, but on code for it. Yeah, bro, just ignoring now. Yes, he is not on code forces. Okay, what version? Uh, it is in brew. Yes, it is in brew. 11.3. Yes, brown switches. Brown. And why are you speaking like Yoda? Sudo nvim. Huh. And you might know what my password is. That is like crazy. Okay, now shit, why did I have to write sudo? What was the point of sudo in nvim? And yes, the version is right here. 11.3. And this was okay, shit. Oh shit, this is not updated. 3 to 14. And Vim, and it would be really cool to build new Vim from scratch. TJ DeVries, where is Teach? He is building his tower defense game. Documentation / chat. New Vim is a project that seeks to aggressively refactor Vim. Yes, install from source. Okay, let's actually do this right now in real time. This would be cool. Okay, I haven't done this. Brew, delete, uninstall, and Vim, and we will be building Vim from scratch. Okay, c build.md. Let's see build from build.md. Shit, this is scary. This is scary. Okay, quick start. Install build prerequisites on your system. Okay, what are these? And yes, we are going way off the topic. There are okay shit. Okay, it was like in the same document, but later. Build prerequisites, Clang or GCC. Yes, I have one. CMake. I need CMake. That is happening. And Arch Linux. Okay, you can do this. RIP. Yes, that is challenge. A little challenge. NixOS. Nixon. President Nixon. Drop into Nix. Shit. Why is NixOS version this long? Shit. FreeBSD macOS. Yes. macOS homebrew. Install Xcode. It is there. Xcode select install to update Xcode. Homebrew is there. Homebrew install Ninja, CMake, Git, text, curl, and Git. I have Git, curl is, I guess, why would we even have to install curl? I think it is like there by default. And they use Ninja for making and not what are the alternatives for Ninja. I think Ninja is not even the default standard thing that we use. Natives to Ninja CMake. Mason. Okay, now I get why a friend of mine was saying Mason, Mason. GNU make. Yes, make is the command. Make is the standard one, but they are telling us to use Ninja. Let's do that and brew install all of these things. Note, if you see wget certificate errors for old macOS versions, we are not seeing. Note, if you see standard stio file not found, it will be handled. Just we have to do this. We have to do this. Build from scratch. Mac OS Mac ports. Shit, this is deja vu. Why am I seeing the same thing again? Huh. Xcode select note command line tools are already installed. Use software update in system settings. Okay, it is updated to Mac Tau. Nothing since. I hope this is not sensitive information. Let me put my laptop on charging. Okay. Mac OS ports note if you. Okay, we have to do this install new build dependencies. Okay, let's get to a folder and do all of this. Shit, I guess port is another command to do the same thing. Okay, for macOS we have homebrew and port. Mac ports is another thing we can use to install other things. Such easy command, software update. No, that is not a command. It is we have to go into the setting and do software update physically using a mouse. Yes, SYU. Wait, I thought we just use SYU when we are booting Arch and we want to update to the latest ISO file. You normally also do this when you have a version running from the hard disk. That is cool. Bro uses Arch, by the way. By the way, just off and comment. Okay, that is done. Step number 1, git clone new vim. Okay, we are there. Git clone new vim. Okay, objects are being received. Then go to new vim if you want the stable version. Also run git checkout stable. Okay, to switch to the stable branch, make cmake build type equal to rel with deb info. That must be something. Make cmake equal to this. Okay, we will explore. github.com/newvim/nvim newvim /newvim, and we have cmake. When we run the cmake command, it will go into this folder and it will see all of these files. There has to be a main file. One of these has to be a main file, like main file. Okay, it is not one of these. Make cmake .txt make file. I guess this is the main file. This is the main make file. It will read, the make command will read this. Arch. He used arch, by the way. Is update. Yes, RNS is removed. Yes, S is installed. That much I do know. It is, of course. Yeah, and it is install something. SYU. RNS. What do you remove? Like remove a specific program, I think. All right. And CMake. So make will supposedly I am accusing that this is the file which will run, which will uh, which the make command is going to read when we run this command, and things have been installed. Let's go to stable. Check out stable. We are in the stable branch, and make cmake build type equal to rel with deb info. Rel with deb info. Okay, now things are going to happen. It is making. Yes, we just have to look at this when this is while this is happening. Completed lib uv. Yeah, that is cool. That is some hacking shit right there. So this looks much better. The background is good while coding, but for this looks much better. Or, and this is also fine. I just have to reduce the background backlight, the background backlight. 653 things have been done out of 659. That is about 6 things left, if I'm correct. Linking C executable bin. Shit, this is going directly into bin new vim. That is crazy. Shit. Uh, runtime tests cmake build. Where is the binary? We'll have to see. Delete my shit. Okay. Okay, you might be sending something bad. Moderation activity is off. Sudo pacman rns no shit. Bro is laughing. Can you do this in Mac? I guess not. No. No, I mean Pacman. We do not have Pacman, but we can do this thing. We don't need sudo rmrf slash no reserve a root. You can do this, and if you by chance by mistake create a folder whose whose literal string name is single slash, how do you delete it? I think the only way to delete it is maybe use quotes around the slash, or go to neovim, delete it from netrw or something. But just doing this blindly, that is bad. Okay, we did this. If you want to install to a custom location, okay, we could have done this. On BSD, use gmake instead of cmake. Gmake isn't there like pmake on FreeBSD. This is just BSD, I guess. To build on Windows, you see this. Okay, we don't see this. Sudo make install. Default installation location is user/location. Okay, on Debian Ubuntu instead of this, do this. Okay, it is like already done, I guess. Bin local. There is nothing here. Ah, shit. I don't know where the binary is now. CMake install prefix. Install prefix may be passed directly as part of CMake extra flags. A, we can do this. CMake extra flags, we can pass this, pass a location, but where is the file? Explore. When do we have nvim? No, we do not. Local has been. Where is the binary? The binary is gone. Library systems bin. Okay, it is not here. OPT. Walrus, that is me. Shit. The binary is gone. Slash bin slash new. The binary is not in the slash. Yes, if it was in the binary folder, I would have been able to run it normally, because binary is in the the one of the directories where ZSH looks for things. Where does shit? Okay, we can maybe check the default location. CMake install prefix. Guessing that the default location is user local. Sudo make install. We did this. Shit, now we have to do sudo make install. Shit, my bad. And sudo make install. I think we have to do this. And yo, check. That was not very difficult. It is like pretty fine, very fine. And if we see which nvim, it is indeed in user slash bin. That is very nice. So we just compiled bin new vim from source. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. That was very easy. Also, we just have to do a few things and everything is done. Nice, nice. And now getting back to Tmux things. Terminal interface. Yes, what is a terminal interface? Yeah, this is for long strings. That is nice. What is? Or maybe what is a terminal interface? A command line interface, sometimes called a command line shell, is a means of interacting with software via commands, each formatted as a line of text. So not command line interface, but terminal interface. Text only door. Okay, so I think this is the same thing as CLI, nothing different. Your message is distracted, simple. User bin vim, which new vim check by this. Yes, I did right now, simple, and put my bind also because it is a good on my. I think this is supposed to be OMW on my, in my opinion. IMO in my opinion. Okay, shit. And that is just your Kinesis keyboard is not working pretty fine, is it? Yeah, with Vim it is right there in user local new Vim. And shit, why did I went into the folder? Let's, and by the way, that is actually pretty nice. Keymap dot set lsp stop leader cmp as in compile function, and yes, of course, semicolon, even though this is Lua, we will apply semicolon, and vim dot api dot cmd. Is this the right format? And internally we will have the command, which is v split and then terminal and bash c g plus plus and yeah, percent b and output slash tmp slash my c file. Why does, okay, shit, this is coming from folder and this has my c file. That is nice. And then tmp slash my c file. And also we can give a little description. Is that the right format to give descriptions? No, that is not. We do this and waste of keyboard. Yeah, waste of a keyboard. Yes, it doesn't even work. To run the current C++ file in a temp buffer. Just make this look very complicated, more complicated than it is. Slash cmp, and I think this keybind is slash cmp. Nothing else is using this. hello.cpp slash cmp. Ah, shit. Okay. Attempt to fail called cmp net value. Huh? I messed up with the command. This was the thing, and here you have leader function vim.api. Okay, so shit. API doesn't have to be there. Vim.command. .cpp and cmp. Yo, let's go. Yep. And the thing that I really like about this is this thing that you said a while ago, that we can just remove it by pressing insert mode, enter, and it is gone. That is very cool. Yes, that is cool. That is cool. That is like really cool. Okay. This includes TTYs. Okay, I will have to do my research on TTYs. Terminal emulators. Ghostty is not mentioned. That is bad. Michelle Hashimoto. GUI terminals dot app item 2 console starts with a K, and this is the default thing that comes with GNOME, I guess. Write an input code. Wait, a code which takes input. Shit. Okay. I I was wondering. Int A, int B, C in A, B, C out, and just make it more complicated than it has to be. Int power, write a power function A raised to the power of B. If not B, return 1, else int answer equals power A raised to the power B by 2. And we are not doing the modulus thing. Let's do it the modulus thing also. Int M also takes in a modulus, and after this answer modulus with M. We don't actually have to do this. Multiply this by answer, and now take modulus with M, and if E was odd, then answer multiplied by A, answer modulus with M, and at the end return answer. And cool. Then C out power A raised to the power of B, A comma B with a modulus 1e9 plus 7. Okay, and run. Enter A. Check. Yes, use the substitute command, of course, and enter B. Enter A. A is like 2. Okay, it is not. It is not. Oh shit, I have to go into the insert mode. Okay. 2 raised to the power of 12 should be 4096. Is indeed 4096. So I can also give input. That is amazing. TTYs are mostly used for Linux because when the GUI crashes, you get thrown to CLI, which is known as TTY1, goes from TTY1 to 9. So these are terminal, built-in terminal emulators, I suppose. So you can at least use the terminal. Press A and start inputting. Yes, yeah, I got that wrong, but now it is fine. This is actually pretty cool. Press A, and let's say 3 raised to the power of and this much. Answer is 1. Okay, 3 was how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 zeros, and it is 1. Okay, and if I do 3 raised to the power of 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, it should be 3. It is 3. So the program is cool and everything is working. That is very nice. Now back to this. Shell languages, and shit, we haven't read a single thing about Tmux. Shell languages. And shit, is someone suggested going to X shell or something? Not built, not built in terminals, I would say. It is default environment. Not built in. Your kinesis is messed up. I would say it is default environment, the default behavior to interact with the machine. Okay, that makes sense. The default, not a built-in terminal, but the default thing to interact. Okay, shit. Okay. So if I am correct, then whatever we use, the like other terminals which we install, like Hyperland or everything else, they are just passing in commands to the TTY and telling the computer to display these graphics like I'm seeing right now, but in Arch. Shit, okay, that is wrong. Black screen, which makes you powerful. Yes, it does make us powerful. The default environment. So my understanding of this thing is that there is the default behavior, the default way that you are supposed to interact with the computer, but there are some retard people like me who have to use the GUI because they do not have Intel processors, x86 processors. So this thing is also in under the hood communicating with the like the processors by the default way, the shell, I think. These programs manager the operating system is also under the hood using shell to interact with the machine and do things. That is what I understand. Ship three messages at once. There is a thing known as desktop environment, and everything works on a desktop environment. But what if the environment crashes? It is a problem. We default to TTY. Yes, that is true. I do get this part that we are running everything on a desktop environment like KDE or GNOME. But I am saying that those desktop environments under the hood, they also are communicating with the hardware by talking to the TTYs. Like they are sending literal commands under the hood. That is what I suppose is happening. See, TTYs. Shit. TTY is the default way to with the computers running Linux, and we normally use desktop environments instead are the environments VIORN then to the OS. I think that the phraseology is wrong, not the TTY, but yeah, I think the phraseology is wrong. Yes, no, shit, they are not. Okay, yes, no, they are not sending. How are they communicating? There must be a thing for communication. I think shell is a better word instead of TTY. TTY is just one way to communicate with the shell. Shell. Ish- Okay, I guess this we have to do this at some point. Anarcho copy. Anarchy. The Bible. Christopher Nolan. As always, I dedicate this book to my wife. Shit. Acknowledgements and wait, do they use TTY? Okay, they do. Shh, that is cool. I mean, of course, you would expect them to have TTYs in it. TTY and shell are two completely different things. Well, I have that book right in front of my eyes. Wait, in my bookshelf, you have a physical copy of this book. Shh, I guess from outside of India. Why is this costly? Linux Bible, and it is off, 26% off. Mm, how Linux works. Yes, this one is also a nice one. Think and shit, maybe you also have this one. How Linux works. Nope, not today. We are delving into supposedly, allegedly, we are delving into Tmux because nobody purchases it. And no, I don't have that one. Okay, that one is also cool and more digestible than the Bible itself. Choosing your shell. This is going to be pretty amazing. When I do actually read this is going to be pretty amazing. There were some photos. Shit. That is Ubuntu, GNOME, and Fedora. And have you watched Mr. Robot? Like Elite Alderson, Mr. Alderson, Podman. That is good. That is Linux Bible. Piracy at peak. Okay, going back to Tmux. Shell languages. And shell, you're gonna get headaches when you read this thing. Okay, and I'm ready. I am ready for it because I had headaches while I was reading the C++ programming language, and they are, I would say, pretty worth it. Not headaches, but like literal deaths in head. Heart aches. Shit. Heart aches. Okay. Shit, my heart is going to be broken. Already broken. Shell languages are programming languages. You may not compile the code into binaries with GCC or Clang or have shiny npm package managers for them, but a language is a language. You said shell and TTYs are two different things. I think shell shit. Why do I not know these things? Shell is something which we use to communicate with the kernel, right? And TTY is something which gives us access to the shell. And I might be sorely mistaken, even though I don't know what sorely means. Uh, ChatGPT. Different things, and shell gives us an interface to the kernel, and a TTY gives us a command line based interface with the shell. You are on the right track, but you have mixed up layers of bits. Shit. TTY. Teletyper. That is the full form. That is all I needed. Teletyper. Shell is a scripting language. Shit, I am way on the charts. And this is supposed to be a S. Historically, a physical terminal, keyboard plus printer connected to a computer. That is a TTY, teletype. Today, a software abstraction that represents a text-based terminal. Its job provide a text-based interface between the user and programs. Okay. 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 Teletyper, historically a physical keyboard plus printer connected to a computer. Today, a software abstraction that represents a. So what is the difference between a TTY and a terminal? When you type, your key strokes go to the TTY device. When a computer like shell, when a program like a shell prints out, it goes through the TTY back to your screen. In Linux, you can see them under these things. Okay, these are ports, devices. So TTY does not execute commands, it just provides the pipe for inputting, outputting between you and some programs, usually a shell. A shell is a program example like this. Its job, read your commands, interpret them, and ask the kernel to execute programs or perform syscalls. The shell is not the kernel itself. Yes, that I agree with. It is a user space program that acts as a command interpreter, and it is also a language. The shell is what gives you the actual interface to the kernel, but only in the sense that it translates your text commands into syscalls and launches executable that interact with the kernel. That does make sense. How they work together. You sit at a TTY, a real or a virtual one. This one is a virtual one. Can we call this a TTY? I think we can call this a TTY. The TTY runs a shell by default. Login shell. You type in TTY. You type into the TTY. The shell reads it. The shell talks to the kernel. Output comes back, and we see it on the TTY. No, we cannot. In reference to, okay, we cannot call this a shell. We cannot call this a TTY. Correction of a statement, because at this point I think this is just a terminal, so we can call these the same thing, TTY and terminal. A shell gives us an interface to the kernel, and a TTY gives us a command line based interface with the shell. A shell gives us an interface to the terminal, and TTY gives us a command line based interface with the shell. Yes, more precise version, the shell gives you a command line interface to the kernel and system programs. The TTY gives you a text based input output channel through which you can interact with the shell. Okay, so kind of correct. What is the between a TTY and a terminal emulator? I think they are the same thing. This is where the old physical machinery world collides with the modern desktop. Let's do TTY, teletyper, a physical teletyper terminal. Think of a teletyper wired into a mainframe in Unix, Linux today. A kernel level device that represents a text terminal found in dev TTY. The kernel manages it. Input comes in, goes out, and we see it on the TTY. Types of TTY: virtual console, sudo ones, virtual TTY that program a kitty, xterm, electricity. Wait, I have to go to the washroom. I'll be right back. GPT is the difference between a terminal and a TTY. Yes, on my way. I'll be right back. I have to go to the washroom. No. Kitty gang assemble shit. You know, this person, he uses Kitty. I think, I don't know if he is currently also using Kitty, but he has used Kitty. And Kitty is in Python and does not make sense. Yes, you're saying that Kitty has a Kitty picture protocol. Even I use. Why do people use Kitty? Okay, I don't know enough to just say things. I have only heard from the internet that people who use Kitty, they are bad human beings and we should not talk to them. But I will make my own judgments after I read the Bible itself, Linux Bible, that is. Kitty's config is simple. Hmm. Ghostty is also simple. And this thing, terminal emulator distance difference in one line. TTY, the low level text terminal device kernel managed. Terminal emulator, a GUI program that pretends to be a TTY by using pseudo terminal. Okay, okay. Our definition is forming. I would rather use Kitty or anything. Kitty. Okay. Shit, I cannot even say bad things specifically. I can just say that Kitty is bad, but not specifically why it is bad because I don't know enough about Kitty. The only bad thing I can say about Kitty is this Python. 38% Python, majority in Python. That is the only bad thing I know about Kitty. Uh, the only tangible bad thing about Kitty. Wait, that is an Indian guy from Mumbai. He sh shit. Is this the guy who created Kitty? COVID Goel. Why is his name COVID? Principal developer of Shit, I've heard this thing. Calibre. He does not follow anything. Bro is on his own. And Kitty. Okay, this Kitty terminal. Shit. This is an Indian product. Nah, I would rather use Kitty over anything. 28.2% C is more than enough. No, it has to be like Linux codebase. Launch a rocket. Shit. This, he is wearing Sherwani and he created Kitty. That is very nice. Kitty is an Indian product. That is crazy. And he still lives in Mumbai. What, what is this? Gas pipeline? GLSL. That is very crazy. 16,000 commits. It's crazy. You can Patreon to him. COVID Goel. That is pretty amazing. His first of all, a few things. He is Indian. He created Kitty. Kitty is good. Kitty is like one of the best things out there. All right, I now agree with you. Kitty is one of the best things out there. And second of all, his name is COVID with a K. That is very crazy. And getting back to Tmux now. Each shell. Okay, but before that, no, where were we? Let's read from here. Example 46 sh bash born again shell z shell. You have fish. Shell interpreters implement the shell language. Okay, shell interpreters implement implement the shell language. They are a layer on top of the kernel and are what allow you to interactively to run commands and applications inside them. Yes, we agree on that much. Shell interpreters implement the shell language. That is interesting, but also kind of obvious. Yes, you said the right thing that shell is a language. You said it at some point. shell is a language, and we also have their implementators or something. As of October 2016, latest POSIX specification covers in technical detail the responsibilities of the shell. Okay. For shells and operating systems, each distro or group does their own darn thing. On most Linux distributions and macOS, you will typically be dropped into bash. Okay. Okay. I really want to know. Okay. Let's go to the summary then, and then actually get to Tmux. And I really want to know about what ZSH is and what bash is, and then choose one thing and then go with it, and abuse people who do not agree with the things that I use, and that would be cool. To wrap it up, you will hear people talking about shells all the time. Context is key. It could be a generic way to refer to any terminal you have open, like type top into your shell and see what happens. Okay, top is like, okay, yeah, top is the basic command. The better one or the more advanced one is htop. Memory is almost finished. This core is empty, like not running. 3 running. Uptime 2 days. Swap. Shit, swap memory is being used a lot, and that is not good. When yes, a server they have to log into before the era of the cloud, it would be popular for small hosts to sell C shells with root access. A shell within a Tmux pane. If scripting is mentioned, it is likely either the script file, an issue related to scripts behavior, or something about the shell language. Okay, and that is fine. But overall, after this overview, go back to doing what you are doing. If shell is what we will say and they understand it, use it. The backing you have here should make you more confident in yourself. Yeah, I'm more confident in myself now. These days, it is an ongoing battle catching out street smarts with book smarts. Okay, in the next chapter, this one practical use, we will touch on some terminal basics before diving deep into Tmux, and we haven't dived deep into Tmux, and that is unfortunate. And it has already been 2 hours and 23 minutes. Tmux, if we run just Tmux, we are in Tmux. This is the easiest part. You open terminal and type Tmux, hit enter. The prefix key. The prefix is how we send commands into Tmux. With this, we can split windows, yes, make panes, move windows, switch sessions, send in custom commands, you name it. Yes, that makes sense. We can actually run it. And now we are into Tmux, and we can type Tmux commands below. And my prefix key for Tmux is Control T. We can change it to whatever we want, because of course this is like configurable, and it is a hump we have to get over. Okay, it is kind of Street Fighter. In this video game, the player inputs combinations of buttons in sequence to perform flying, spinning kicks, and shoot fireballs. Sweet. As the player grows more accustomed with the combos, they repeat moves by intuition since they develop muscle memory. Without understanding how to send command sequences to Tmux via the prefix key will be dead in the water. Okay, we don't want to be dead in the water. Key sequences will come up later if you use Vim Emacs. No, we don't use Church of Emacs. We go with Vim or other TUI, terminal user interface applications like LLDB, GDB. GDB does not have a TUI, but LLDB does have a TUI. If you haven't internalized the concept, let's do it now. prior experience, command sequences in TUI, GUI applications will come in handy. I can do that. We can do that. Then getting used to command sequences. We use Vim, by the way. When you memorize a key combo, it is one less time you will be moving your hand away from the keyboard to grab your mouse. Yes, he does not use a mouse. That is pretty nice. You can focus on your short-term memory on getting stuff done, resulting in fewer mistakes and things becoming a muscle memory. And no or little cognitive effort is being like put in. Coming from GNU screen, no, we do not use GNU screen. We have Mac, fortunately. Your Tmux prefix can be set via your Tmux configuration. Later, in your Tmux configuration file, set the prefix option. Yes, set option globally prefix as control A. We can put it to anything we want. Not Tmux dot config. So unbind control B, which is the default configuration key, and also unbind control R just in case, because this was being control R is a key we use in NeoVim. So I do not want it to be captured by Tmux. And then set option, set G and set prefix key globally as control T. That is true. Bind control T, send prefix. I don't know what this line is doing, but this line I don't know. Set option prefix control A. This will set the prefix key to screen once. Another terminal multiplexer prefix key. This will set the prefix key to screen 1. What is screen 1? Another terminal multiplexer prefix key. Okay. The default leader key is control B. Okay. While holding down control key, press B. And that is the default leader prefix key. Sending Tmux commands. Practice. Press control key down and hold it. Then press B or T or whatever our own configuration says. Release both keys at the same time. Try it a few times. It may feel unnatural. It does not any longer until you have done it a couple of times, which is normal when memorizing shortcuts. Now let's try something. Control B, D to detach. So press control, hold it down, press B, release D, and bang is different. You have sent Tmux your first command and now you are outside of Tmux. D is detach. You have detached the Tmux session you were in. You can reattach via Tmux attach, and dot is not a part of the command. Okay, is this running? Is there a built-in dark mode? No, shit. Okay, we'll work with this. So we can detach, we can attach, of course you can do that. That is, yes, of course. Nested Tmux sessions. You can also send the prefix key to nested Tmux sessions. For instance, wait a minute, let me drink water. Nested Tmux sessions. You can also send the prefix key to nested Tmux sessions. For instance, if you are inside a Tmux client on a local machine and you SSH into a remote machine in one of your panes on the Tmux machine, shit. Okay, wait, that is crazy recursion. For instance, if you are in a Tmux client on a local machine, okay, and then you SSH into a remote machine in one of your panes. On the remote machine, you can attach the client via Tmux attach as you normally would to send the prefix key to the machine's Tmux client, not your local one. Hit the prefix key again. And that is crazy amount of recursion, like literally crazy. So if your prefix key is default control B, do control B plus B again. Then hit the shortcut for what you wanted to do inside the SSH session. Example, if you wanted to create a window on the remote machine, on the remote instance of the Tmux server that your client is connected to, which would normally be control B plus C, you will do control B, B and then C. Yep, control B, B and then C. Hereinafter, the book will refer to shortcuts by prefix instead of control B. You will see prefix D. Session persistence and the server mode. If you use Linux or similar systems, you have likely brushed through job control, such as, shit, I don't know, FG1 and jobs1. Tmux behaviors, Tmux behavior feels similar, like you ran Control Z, except technically you were in job all along. You were just using a client to view it. Okay, that is a bit abstract. If you use Linux or similar system, you have likely brushed through job control, such as FG1 and jobs1. Tmux behavior feels similar, like you ran Control Z, excerpt. Technically, you were in a job all along. You were just using a client to view it. Another way of understanding it, Control B plus D closes the client connection, therefore detaches from the session. Your Tmux client disconnected from the server instance. The session, however, is still running in the background. Yes, that makes sense. We can detach from a session, but it will continue running in the background. And that is, yes, of course, nice. It is all commands. Yes. So the thing is, we use a prefix, which by default is Control B, and then we put in commands. We can give any command we want, and Tmux will execute that command. It is all commands. Multiple routes can lead you to do the same behavior. Commands are what Tmux uses to define instructions for setting options, resizing, renaming, traversing, switching modes, copying and pasting, and so forth. Yes. Okay, so this just whole chapter is about the fact that we have to give in commands to make things work. Practical usage. And we give in command by first giving in a prefix and then the command. Configs are the same as automatically running commands. Okay, automatically running commands. Internal tmix commands we can run via prefix and then a colon, not a semicolon, but a colon. Settings defined in your configuration can also set shortcuts which can execute commands via keybinds via this command, keybind, which is a command. Commands called from CLI via Tmux CMT. Okay, that is another way to run a command. This is another way, using a keybind. Binding a keybind to a command is another way. Another way is using, like, when we are in a Tmux session, we can use prefix plus colon, and there is also the Tmux command from the config files. And then to pull it all together, source code files are prefixed, CMD. Okay, summary, we have established Tmux automatically creates a server upon starting it. The server allows you to detach and attach, later reattach, which is true. We can detach and the server would keep running in the background. And the server allows you to detach and later reattach your work. The keyboard sequences you send to the Tmux require understanding how to send the prefix key, which is by default Control B. Keyboard sequences, configuration, and command line actions all boil down to the same core commands inside Tmux. In our next chapter, we will cover the server. Yo, now we are literally at the server, and I do feel a bit exhausted at this point. I don't know. There has just been reading for 2 hours and 35 minutes. That is kind of crazy. And servers, cool. The server holds sessions, which holds windows, which holds panes, for which we have a escalator diagram. Not this one, this one. We have servers. We have servers. Servers hold sessions. Sessions have windows. Windows have panes. That is exactly this. A server runs different sessions which have each session has multiple windows and each window has panes, and in those panes we run commands. When Tmux starts, you are connected to a server via a socket connection. Okay, what you see presented in your shell is merely a client connection. In this chapter, we uncover the invisible engine enabling your terminal applications to persist for months or even years. Wait. In this chapter, we uncover the invisible engine enabling your terminal applications to persist for months or even years at a time. That is crazy. I have a few questions now. At this point, of course. That is, Linux has two TW2 part. One is the server and another is the client. The server runs in the background and opens a connection at some port, and when we run the client, it communicates with the server. It communicates with the server, the client communicates with the server at that socket. I think that is correct. That is the gist of how Tmux works under the hood. Let me break it down in precise terms because this server client split is the key to why Tmux can detach and reattach sessions. Server, when you first run Tmux, if no server is running, okay, I just wanted to check the theory. It is correct. When Tmux starts, what is Tmux? Tmux is a server? Question mark. Often when server is mentioned, what comes to mind for many may be rack-mounted hardware. To others, it may be software running demonized on a server and managed through a utility like upstat supervisor and so on. Okay. Unlike web or database software, Tmux doesn't require a specialized configuration settings or creating a server service entry to start things. Tmux uses a client-server protocol, client-server model, but the server is forked to the background for you. And this is similar to Minecraft's model. Minecraft also uses a server client model where there is a server running and the server can be local or global over at the internet, and a client can attach to that server. Zero config needed. You don't notice it, but when you use Tmux normally, a server is launched and being connected via a client. Tmux is so streamlined, the book could continue to explain usage and not even mention servers. But I would rather you have a true understanding of how it works on systems. The implementation feels like magic, while living up to the Unix expectations of utilitarianism, one cannot deny it's exquisitely executed from a user experience standpoint. Okay. Tmux is so streamlined, the book could never mention doesn't even have to mention that there are servers, but I would rather have you a true understanding of how it works on systems. The implementation feels like magic while living up to the Unix expectations of utilitarianism. Okay, one cannot deny it's exquisitely executed from a user experience standpoint, and yes, Tmux is pretty cool, very cool. And how is it utilitarian? I am already looking at when this is going to end. Okay, shit. Yes, it is. Shit. Yeah, there has been just a lot of information, I would say, and my brain needs some time to digest what has been going on. And with that, I would say it would be like, yeah, you can generally tell when it is a bad time to continue studying, and this right now is not a very good time to continue studying because I would just be reading words. I need a bit to touch grass. And yes, I think I might be making excuses, but anyways, I guess this would be the end of today's stream at a battery of 70%, and stream wasn't even like 3 hours long. It is just 2 hours and 41 minutes. And yeah, so this is going to be the end of today's stream. We didn't go fully guns blazing into Tmux. We got distracted quite a lot by a lot of things. But in any case, the thing was very intuitive. We did make progress, maybe not on Tmux, but we did make progress on multiple different things in the Linux database, Linux environment, and that is pretty cool. And with that, I would say this is the end of today's stream, and this was pretty nice. And there is like literally, it would be just better to leave this thing at this and continue reading this thing in bite-sized chunks every day and complete this in a few weeks. That would be much better. And for today, this would be the end of today's stream, like for the fifth time. And thank you for being here. Bye.